Thank you very much. Just say I'm a bit jet lagged. I arrived yesterday, and so I didn't really have a good night. So I'll make a long pause of goes off just loudly saying my name. I'll be back. International Finance Corporation is part of the World Bank Group, and we are what we call the private arm of the World Bank. So we finance private firms. We work only in developing countries, so we don't work in developed countries. Last year, IFC alone financed about 22 billion worth of investments in developing countries, and we mobilized additional $5 billion from our partners. We work in various sectors, including infrastructure, what we call manufacturing, agriculture, and services, and in private equity. Coming close to cement, it's a big sector for us. Our cumulative investments are about $4 billion in cement. As you can see, our portfolio is fairly well spread. It's somewhat smaller in Latin America and the Caribbean, but we're growing there. We have we finance 32 projects in 26 countries in pretty much all the regions, and we work both with the global cement companies and the local companies. And here you can see some of our clients. So certainly the big ones, Holcim, Lafarge, Conch, as well as some regional players, for instance, Domicen, the Dominican Republic, and Gison Cement in Vietnam, and so on. When it comes to our sort of main niche, we operate in developing countries, and because of our global presence, we're able to take more risk. I don't want to say that we're risk takers, but we're able to go into countries where typical financiers would normally go. For instance, recently we had a project with one of the leading cement manufacturers in Iraq. We have high requirements for our projects. We have high environmental and social standards. In fact, IFC was the leading institution which introduced the standards in the 90s. And despite that, we have a very good track record of investments. Our IRR equity investment, that's across all portfolio, is over 18%. When it comes to our topic today, energy in the cement industry, we have Green Cement Initiative. And under this initiative, we look at both renewable energy, including alternative fuels, and waste heat recovery. So I'll be talking today about waste heat recovery, although we're active in these other areas as well. We financed 3 waste heat recovery projects, and I will be talking about them later in the presentation. Last year, we completed a report, a global study on waste heat recovery in the world, and the idea was to look at where the current waste heat recovery industry stands, what's the development, what are the technologies, which geographies are most developed, and importantly to look at the next step, to look at the next investment opportunities. What are the some of the most promising countries, and what are some of the challenges in there, as well as opportunities. And I'll be talking about the findings of the report today. Certainly there are different waste heat recovery technologies. There's a classic Rankine cycle, there's organic Rankine cycle, ORC, there's Kalina cycle. There are other technologies which are being developed as well. So in this report, we looked at the 3 of them, but we mainly focused on the steam cycle because that's currently the dominant technology. And from the capital cost point of view, that seems it's one of the most attractive ones. So I will not go really into the technical details. I can certainly spend some time here, but I think it's fairly straightforward and basic. Just the idea behind it's pretty much a right-hand cycle attached to cement plant. That's all it is. But some points that waste heat recovery it's not a panacea from the power point of view. It can only supply about 20 to 30% of the cement plant needs. There are quite a few advantages, but the one which keeps coming up time and again in our conversations with our clients is the enhanced power supply reliability. And this comes up in many countries where cement producers tell us that we have access to the grid, but because of reliability, because of interruptions, we lose money. We cannot operate all the time. So in some cases, they're even willing to pay premium to have this reliability. The status of waste heat recovery, and I think previous presenter also mentioned some numbers, and I'd like to actually make a reference to CemPower from 2013. That's the data where we got this. But China is certainly the leader in waste heat recovery in terms of the number of installations. It has over 90% of all global installations. Waste heat recovery became a commercially proven technology. It was spearheaded first by Kawasaki in Japan, and later joint venture with Anhui Punch sort of started the development of the technology in China. Now, what are some of the success factors for China? Why did it proliferate so much in China? And actually, one of the key ones was the public policy, where the Chinese government pretty much made it obligatory for cement companies to install it for new cement plants. Of course, with the Chinese manufacturing muscles, the capex is very attractive. The capital costs are very low in China, and at this time, you cannot really beat the Chinese prices. They're really the lowest. The rising energy prices was another reason in China, as well as, again, the reliability of grid supply of electricity. But what we also see in China is here you can see installations by year. You can see that, well, cumulative is growing, but installations per year are going down. So that pretty much indicates that the market in China becomes saturated. And so most of the waste heat recovery opportunities there are being already developed. Of course, next phase is coming where there may be some upgrades and so on. But what it also tells us is that the Chinese manufacturing capacity will be looking. Sorry, apologies. I don't know if you're listening. It means that we'll probably see more of the Chinese equipment manufacturers pursuing opportunities abroad outside of China. Some operational numbers, and I think they were also, some of them were mentioned, but waste heat recovery makes sense in bigger plants. So typically you wouldn't go below 2,500, 3,000 tons per day. So that's sort of your minimum capacity. Then depending on efficiency, you would have different yields, but it's pretty much ranges from 25 kWh per down from here to 45. The exhaust temperatures, again, for steam recline cycle, it's around 300. So you lower than that, it doesn't really operate. And there are a number of other factors. Generally, the efficiencies are not very impressive. If you some projects used to, I think somebody mentioned combined cycle gas turbines of 85, 56%. But here certainly it's waste heat, so the fuel is literally free. Some of the criteria which impact waste heat recovery economics are moisture, number of efficiency of preheaters. I think a gentleman mentioned before. Actually, in India, we noticed that a lot of new plants, they already have 5-stage preheaters. So there are still, we'll talk more about India. There are a lot of opportunities for waste heat recovery in India, but because of this 5-stage preheater, it's not as straightforward always. The most important question is how much does it cost, and it really depends. It depends on many things. It depends again on the size, so there are scale economies. It depends on a particular technology. It depends on geography where waste heat recovery and cement plant is located, and it depends certainly on supplier. What you've seen again is that China usually demonstrates the lowest capex, and so we've seen as low as $1,100 per kilowatt of installed capacity, and those of you who work in the power sector know that this is a very good price. If you compare combined cycle gas turbine, I mean certainly they can be lower, but here the fuel is free, so these are. But again, these are China-specific numbers. Don't expect to see them outside of China. AJ is the next second area, and there we see prices slightly higher, and certainly in Europe it's much higher. And here we also try to indicate the split between the equipment and the labor works. And this chart also kind of reflects a similar point. Again, economics depend on some of the factors which were already mentioned, but typically what we see is that a good payback time would be 2 years. That's maybe on the optimistic side. Traditionally, we've seen maybe 3 to 4 years, and some of the less economic can go 7 to 8 years. And of course, it depends on the electricity tariff. This is a snapshot of our study, which pretty much shows you the comprehensive approach that we try to have when we analyze different countries. So we look at 11 countries, which you can see here in different regions, and then we look first at is there any existing installed capacity in waste heat recovery? And we look at what is the remaining potential for waste heat recovery. And this is sort of technical potential. It's not economic, so it's not the next step analysis. It's just based on the initial technical data. And we looked at what is the growth market, growth rates forecast for cement industry in this market. We looked at are there any concerns of power reliability supplied from green? We looked at industrial and electricity prices, which cement companies are likely to pay. We looked at factors such as political stability, which I think was also mentioned earlier. And then we looked at regulatory factors. Were there any public policy incentives for cement companies to install waste heat recovery? And so here you can see some of the favorable factors there marked in green, some less favorable or sort of yellowish, and the factors which are challenging are marked in red. Another way of looking at this chart is by the investment potential, and here certainly you can see that India remains the next biggest market. But then again, it's also a specific market, and at the time I know there's a special commission within the Indian government that looks at the specific incentives to promote waste heat recovery. One of them was accelerated depreciation. There are a number of other factors, but India can certainly be the next big thing, and the estimated investment potential is about $1.4 billion. That's very rough, again, depending on capital cost assumptions. And then we see other countries here. Just to give you examples of some of the waste heat recovery projects. So this is actually, it's not really an implemented project. It was a feasibility study that we helped one of our clients do some years ago. That was in 2011. And it was a combined assessment of energy efficiency as well as waste heat recovery. And so in terms of waste heat recovery, those were the results of this sort of pre-feasibility stage analysis. And you can see that the capital cost sort Some of the projects that we financed, so our first waste heat recovery installation was actually financed in China, and we financed it through a CHUI program, and CHUI, something you've heard of it. It's China Utility Energy Efficiency Program. That's an IFC program, and it's what we call access to finance program. So we provided financing, actually we provided the loans guarantee to a number of commercial banks in China. We also provided them advisory services, what we call capacity building. And we work with them so that they can later on lend or open credit lines to various players in not only in the cement industry, it was sort of a broader energy efficiency program. But through that, we financed one of the waste heat recovery installations. It was 7.5 megawatts, and this number is certainly very pleasant, but then again, we will not see it outside of China, so it's close to probably 1.1 million per megawatt. The rate of return on investment was very good. This was reported by the cement plant in China, the 2 cents per kilowatt hour. To me, it seems extremely low, but this is what we heard. Yesterday, when I looked at the presentation, I found a slight mistake. Normally, commercial banks wouldn't pay monthly interest to their clients, so the error should be reversed. That's another example, more recent, actually last fiscal year in Turkey. And sorry, just to reiterate here, IFC wasn't the direct finance here. We financed waste heat recovery through a commercial bank. This is a different example where we financed cement plant directly. For us to do that, we need to have scale. We're a big institution. We cannot work with small projects. So, we would go below $10 million. So the build project here was about $40 million. That was broader energy efficiency project. The waste heat recovery part was a 5.5 megawatts of installed capacity, and total cost was 12.5 million. So you can see that the capex is already improving. In terms of contractual arrangements and implementation scheme, it's very straightforward, kind of a straight EPC contract done by the cement plant itself. In our discussions with some of the leading cement manufacturers, we hear that certainly they were affected by the latest financial crisis some years ago, and we hear more and more that companies are becoming sort of cash strapped. It's not necessarily they would want to take waste heat recovery on their balance sheet, because they said, well, first of all, we don't have much room, and we have so many other projects we are interested in expanding, and so the waste recovery is good to have, but now it's not really the best time. But if you would find a third party who would be able to invest in this project, and we're able to sign a PPA agreement with them, and so more and more we hear this interest from cement players to have what we call a balance sheet model for waste heat recovery. So a third-party financier, and actually it can be equipment manufacturer. IFC would partner as a co-investor, and then we have a network of partners who would also be interested in investing in such a direction. The critical things will be the power purchase agreement and the heat supply agreement. And so the main thing becomes IFRS, the International Finance Reporting System. How you treat this? Is it a lease? Is it financial lease? Is it operating lease? Or is it supply or service contract? And certainly you would want to have supply service contract. So a lot of lawyers' hours, this kind of project, Right now, we have IFC employed one of the largest international legal firms, and we're finalizing sort of the structure, but certainly it depends on different countries. It's not sort of a cookie cutter. You say, oh, all balance sheet model, you know, you can do it anywhere. A lot of analysis has to be done, and it's not a sort of a cheap project from the project preparation point of view. But this is certainly one of the next big things that we see in waste recovery development. As I mentioned, the Chinese market becomes saturated, and we'll see more and more the Chinese equipment suppliers going abroad. Not only Chinese, it shouldn't maybe kind of limited to China. Of course, there are Indian equipment suppliers and so on. But we will see more and more international equipment suppliers who will have an incentive to pursue off-balance sheet finance models. So I would like to, if I see I have 5 more minutes, let me just quickly finish. So just to summarize, what we offer is we're the financier, so we can provide loans, debt, and equity, and everything in between, the quasi-equity and so on. And we're also active on the advisory side, as I mentioned earlier. Here are some of the links to our publications. So the findings of this presentation are mainly contained here in the waste recovery report, and you can download it for free. And also last year, jointly with the World Cement Council and the International Energy Agency, we finished a series of sector work in India, where we looked at the low carbon options for the Indian cement industry. Right now, we are working on a similar thing in Latin America. But I think I should conclude and open the floor for